when a student is being taken, first off, for everybody that doesn't know, young people don't transfer themselves. Mr. Briggs probably did not make the ultimate call on leaving Sumner to go to Piper. But I'm pretty sure somewhere in that family conversation, they talked about facilities, resources, and what would be available, okay? So when the student has to go to Shawnee Mission or has to go to Olathe just to have access to something, then whose fault is it? And it's not the family's fault, it's not the student's fault. Like, that's the responsibility of us as a community. So why don't we have what everybody has? In fact, the only state-of-the-art facility that I know we have was not built by us for us, right? The soccer stadium, y'all soccer players, right? Do y'all get to go play there? I don't know, right? So I'm asking, no. Okay, there's got to be a contingent, there's got to be a circumstance or a condition by which you get access to that field. Go ahead, you guys, I'm up to add.
You must book the field to have access to.
You have to pay for that? Okay, all right, cool. So even in a space where you can pay for something to book it, we already talked about the barriers to entry. Like, who do we talk to? Is it a clear connection to it? But what I do also know, as being from Kansas City, is that no other community deals with that. They don't have to choose what the students are going to excel at. There's a skate park, there's a basketball court, there's a tennis court, there's a soccer field, there's a swimming pool. Like, every other place has all these things, and you know what? Let a child decide as they should. Like, let them be free in their exploration to discover what they're good at. Not saying, oh, well, there's no more basketball courts, let me get good at soccer because now they're all futsal courts. Like, why does everybody have to pick between one or the other? It's just a substandard, and like I said, I always profess my love because I'm an insider on this one. But everything we have is at a substandard level, and people are throwing Band-Aids at bullet wounds, like trying to figure this out. Put all the money into it that everybody else is putting into it. Our opinion is one thing, but there's a benchmark for what works. So what are these other cities' budgets? And if we don't have the money, where do we get the money? Where is it going? I know there's some money moving somewhere. We're not broke, you know. We may be disenfranchised, we may have low health rankings, we may be a lot of things. We're not really just broke. So who is important enough if it's not our youth? And that's a whole, but bringing it back to parks and recreation, let's look at the successful models. And let's just follow those. And at the point you have all the facilities, the successful models have been patterned, have been benchmarked, then we can start talking about what's going on with the people. But I grew up with it. I got friends that went to school playing tennis. I got friends that went to school bowling. I got friends that went to school swimming. Like, all of those things actually were avenues that were available, and I saw people be successful in them all. So that might be a little piece. That's what I would add to it. It's just, let's not play around with it. Just add the bread. Thank you.
I
appreciate you.
I like that.
And I went to Sumner Academy too. I never said that, but
I'm Officer Mike Simmons. I don't think I said my name when I first got up here. I worked a lot with Park and Rec back in the day. Me and my uncle Earl Watson, we ran night hoops for years. It's the problem I see with Park and Rec is we got to have somebody in that office that gives a damn about our kids. And that's the problem. All they doing is collecting a paycheck. When I was a kid and growing up, every center was open. We had something going on every summer in those centers and at the parks. They don't do anything anymore. Everything now is you got to pay for it. You got to pay for it. You know, even practice time. They want the kids to even play for practice time. They even practice to learn how to play in their leagues. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. We gotta demand that something happens with our centers. Upgrade the centers. Build some new centers. I mean, we just gotta demand something different happens with these centers. And somebody needs to give a damn about our kids.
Question before you leave. I got a question because I know you work a little closer into with the Parks and Rec. What is the organization of the Parks and Rec? Because when I came up, you know, when I came up, we had people like Mr. Watson that said one slim and one sis. We had people who cared. People who was there, they were going to make sure that the doors was open, make sure we had opportunity for free play, for everything. What is the organization now?
The organization now, well, it's a new administration that's been in there for a little bit. And now everything is, you have to pay. Everything you have to pay it. And if, just like my uncle and some of the older guys who run the gyms that let people in play for free and stuff like that, they're writing them up because they're not collecting money for everybody and talking back to them. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, I don't know. You got an 89-year-old man that has the best league in the city. 89-year-old man.
Packed every Saturday.
Packed every Saturday.
Yeah.
But the other centers have nothing going on. That's ridiculous. They don't even use JFK, I don't think, anymore. I think they turn it into a soccer field or something. So, I mean, it's just getting ridiculous what we're doing. We got to demand Park and Rec do better for our kids. We're paying for these taxes, for these Park and Recs. We got to demand that they do better.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Backing off of demanding our Parks and Rec to do better, I kind of want to explain a little bit of what happens if they continue to not care enough and they continue to not facilitate different opportunities for our youth. Is we'll, black adults, they without the Parks and Rec stuff and without getting the black youth moving and everything, getting good habits of exercise and playing sports and activities, then they can just become very, sedentary, right? And as they become sedentary, they grow up and they live a life, and they don't really exercise and get good movement and whatnot, and then they become sick and unhealthy, and basically I'm just keeping it real. Black people die at a younger age on average than all other ethnicities, pretty much, right? So that's what's going to continue to happen if we don't correct this and if we don't demand Parks and Rec to take a stand and change something and actually do all of the things that we're talking about. So we're going to continue to have bad health in our communities and things like that. So.
Okay, thank you. We're going to.
Thank you, guys. Great conversation.
We have Mr. Joshua Criswell, who is going to lead this part for us.
Yeah.
I want to say this, we really appreciate all the dialogue, especially our youth that have come out from Summer and Piper. We really appreciate you coming out and voicing your opinion. This is what this is. So thank you very much for being honest and open with us.
All right, again, my name is Josh Criswell. I guess I'm the only person here who ever went to Slagle, but that's cool. I'm used to being in the room by myself anyway. There we go. Left Slagle went to K-State, and I did a lot of minority recruitment for them. We actually increased the university's numbers by 35% over the first year that we started and stuff. So this particular one is on jobs and workforce development. Just a little bit about that. Basically, okay, what kind of programs did you guys want to see to expose our youth to careers and trainings that lead to good paying post-secondary employment opportunities? That's a mouthful. At the end of the day, the question is, what can we do to make you as successful as possible, right? And ultimately, my dad and I, it's funny, when I was a kid, when I was y'all's age, we used to get in arguments, and he put me in the car, and I couldn't go nowhere. He just yell at me, basically, and drive me around 435. As an adult now, he still gets me in the car. We go fly fishing now, but we have these conversations about, it's really kind of interesting because as a father and a son have these conversations about black life in America on a road trip to the middle of nowhere in Missouri to fish with an expensive rod. So anyway, what comes out of that is we've had the discussion that access and opportunity are two things that, I don't care if you're black, white, Indian, Hispanic, if you're an impressionable mind, access and opportunity, just like you were saying, if you have the access and opportunity, those facilities that they have out there at the Shields Park in Olathe, you would have way more time and ability to hone your craft just like those other people do. It's not a matter of what job do I want to do or what workforce development do I want to have. The idea is to show you as many opportunities as possible and like Moses said, let you be the one who decides where your interest takes you. So what we've got here is we got barriers, needs, and concerns. And I'm just gonna write down whatever you guys think. If I think the conversation needs a little stimulation, we'll go there. But in regards to workforce development, it's really hard because you don't know what you don't know. Like, growing up as a kid, my parents were in civil service, so I looked at government work as a way to make a decent life for myself. Tried to do it, hated it. I'm in healthcare now. But I didn't know that I wasn't actually going to like it. I just saw the end result. Well, we get to go on vacation every now and again, and I got food in the cabinet, so this is a pretty good deal. So what we want to see is not what opportunities you would like, but what are some ideas that you guys would think be beneficial for you to get more knowledge about careers that are out there, or workforce development that's out there? What do you see that would put you in a better position than you are now? Go ahead.
I also want to state I'm a senior at Sumner Academy. I didn't say that earlier, but that's where I go. I worked at Sonic for a year, and I'm currently employed at Chick-fil-A. Been there for like 5 months. I'd like to see a program that prepares a student for being able to manage the balance between your school life and your work life. I know I would have enjoyed a program that helped me with time management, money handling, making sure you have a reliable form of transportation. It's just things becoming, like it was stated earlier, consistent and reliable. I would have liked a program that would prepare me for that, because I know I'm currently struggling with those things, more likely the time management. I had to take a little bit of time off from work to catch back up on school because the balance started to get a little bit off. So just preparing you for the balance that you're going to face whenever you get a job attending school.
Work-life balance. That's gonna take you not just from high school now. You're gonna have to deal with that if you choose to go to college. You go to a trade school. You have to start having a family. You got kids. You got your job. All that's not something that just happens now. That's a life skill for the rest of your life. Hey, bro.
All right. So going off of Mr. Lewis, basically say how he doesn't see color. Person's a person, a mind is a mind. Well, in this case, growing up, most kids don't see it that way. So basically, we could kind of create like a sort of like a diversity program that allows kids that's growing up seeing like that community is a community. People like racism and different things what people believe in shouldn't affect how you see others and how you cope together within your community. Because most of the times, people are mainly uncomfortable in the community, which is why people sway from different people to different people in cliques and groups, when we all really are working to the same goal, to basically to get a better education and end up with a successful job in life.
Well said. And piggyback off that, I went from Slagle, which was 95% black, to K-State, whitewashed, middle of the Kansas cornfields, and I had never had culture shock before, but I sure got it there. So that exposure to those other types of other people's backgrounds and lives, and that taking out those blinders and having a conversation with somebody is how you get there. What do you got next? Yes, sir.
You first, kid.
Go, man.
So, I think another program that should be made is one that makes self-care a real thing to think about. Because mostly people, until they're in like their 20s or their 30s, finally get to think on self-care, because they really don't think about what they should do or what they should like. Maybe somebody might be signing up to go to someone, and like a few days later they might be like, this job is too strict or something like that. But they didn't think before they act. And also there should be a program where you can control your own emotions, because there's a ton of people in my school that always lose their temper really, really easily. And sometimes some people carry that on to that to be their own unique traits.
Well said.
It's called workforce development, right?
Mm-hmm.
First thing with that is you got to develop people. It's have to be something that you have to do to make it, to reach them, a new pedagogy. You have to find a way to reach them in a different way to show them the importance of that. Soft skills goes along with workforce development. Soft skills. You got, like I tell my students all the time, you cannot go to the Kansas City Chiefs training camp with a Denver Broncos jersey on. They're gonna look at you like you're crazy. So, no, they're actually gonna run you out of there. But we have to teach them soft skills. And when we, not necessarily wind out, but when we was going, we knew we had mentors, grown men, showing us how to work a bandsaw, to do these different things. I think it's just not enough fun part of developing people of how to make money, how to balance checkbooks out. All these things coincide with that. And that's what you said, balance. You're talking about balance. Balance, that goes according to what your priorities are. So you have to teach them how to prioritize, because at the end of the day, you said it. You're gonna need it, no matter in your high school, rest of your life, you're gonna need balance. And that's the thing, but that's what, you say workforce development, it can't just be getting people to work. You have to develop people if you want to pass it down to people. If you want to pass it down, you must pass the torch. How you do that? You must develop somebody. We must teach everybody to be floaters. You know what a floater is? A person that can do multiple things. So they have multiple skills, and they'll always be employed. That's all I have to say. We gotta develop people.
You pretty much hit my top, what I was gonna say. I just wanna go a little.
Well, hammer it home.
Yeah. But no, he definitely hit it on the head, where you have to have those soft skills. We're in the process of trying to develop a workforce development program right now. And one of the biggest things that we've been talking about are those soft skills that are needed, because there's programs out there where they will get kids and put them in a placement to learn how this is a job, to see what it's like, but there's no development side. And so having the skills of the interpersonal relationship skills, conflict resolution skills, workplace etiquette, those are the kind of development skills that we're lacking in some of these workforce development programs. It's great to show me that this is an opportunity for a job, but how do I act? How do I interact? And those are the skills, developing the person to be a good employee. Because you can fill out an application and get a job, but how do you keep a job or keep a career? And so those are things that I think are really missing, which is another huge piece of that puzzle of workforce development.
You know, it's kind of been said when you start thinking about career opportunities and development is that it's just like you're creating anything else. Your career, your life, your family, all of that has to be built and constructed. Ain't nobody just gonna give it to you, right? So when you are constructing or building anything, what's the first thing you look at? The instructions or the blueprint. And that's really what these types of things can provide. And that's what we're trying to get you guys to see is that if we can show you some blueprints that may work throughout your life, these are going to be things that you can pick back up and, you know, you may not go to undergrad. You may get a trade craft and you do that for 10 years and decide you want to do something different. You've got an idea of what these other opportunities are, so you have that to fall back on. Yep, come on. I ain't going nowhere.
I want to say one more thing. Okay, so it's here, where we're at, F.B.O.E. And including other programs that showed up here, but we're right here. So, yeah, that's all I want to say. And I wanted to mention something earlier. It was a while back, but back in 2015, there was an internship for BET, and nobody showed up. So it's about showing up. So otherwise, you miss your opportunity.
Step one, you're here.
Okay, thank you, we appreciate you. I think that we made some very important parts about job and workforce development. There are several programs out there. Gen Club, we have one called Connecting the Dots. It is an intern program that focuses on digital media, focuses on audio engineering, coding, broadcasting, and marketing. But the other thing that it focuses on, what I think is very important, is it focuses on workforce literacy. Being able to understand what your rights are, understanding what to do in the workplace, how to form, even if it's a union. So I think it's a lot of programs out here, but we have to make sure that we are actually developing. And then we have to show up. We have to show up. A lot of times we look at things, I think our youth have to be modeled to showing up. You know, just to get a job, a lot of times is persistence. I know my first job that I got, the only reason I got the job is because I showed up for a week straight every day and asked the lady, could I have the job? And she finally gave me an opportunity, and I've been working for the school district for 24 years. So it's about showing up and being persistent. That's it. All right? So let's start moving to our next one. We'll get this to you, Michelle,
Yeah.
and we'll get Ms. Rosie. We have Ms. Rosie Rodriguez.
This is Reed.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Well, it's been so great to hear from you guys. Like, this has really made my day. My name's Rosie, and I work in the Department of Student Services to make sure that we create those programs that are meant to serve you and serve your education and make sure that you are provided with everything that is needed, right? In a different section, I believe it was the Parks and Rec, we talked about a lot of the things that we're missing. And so in this section, I really want you to close your eyes and think about your community. What do you need? What do you see? What are your wants? Why can't you achieve those? We're all in the same Wyandotte County, right? But our surroundings might be different. So I really want you to think, what are we missing and what are we needing? And how can we get those things that we want? Now, anyone can come up and kind of explain.
What I think we need more are gyms, because I have not been to a gym in Wyandotte County. The only gyms I've been to are in Missouri or in other places like Independence or Latham. And whenever I might see a gym, it might be not in Wyandotte, but I might think it's in Wyandotte. And also, another thing, we need more parks. Like we might have that one Wyandotte County Park or Wyandotte County Lake, but do we have any more parks somewhere else? Like we have me and my cousin's grandpa. We all went to a park to go sledding. We don't have that many parks, so we had to travel like 30 minutes to go to this one park just to sled, and we didn't stay there for like long. We stayed there for like 10 minutes. So I think more amenities that we need are parks that have more things in them, not just like a lake up in a park.
Thank you.
And what I meant by the last one, I meant like lakes and not just a lake and a playground. And we might need like a lake and a playground and like steeper hills and frisbee.
And I think something that you guys mentioned earlier was having to travel to other places to get those services, right? So think about how can we create those features that will make sure that we keep you here. You guys are our future. How can we keep you here?
Something I would think of would be support from the community, like fundraising. I mean, in this life where money is everything, having more money is always a plus. So if you could get proper support from your community, you could get more fields, more, I guess, in the paper swimming pools, if that's what you're looking for, but just support from the community.
Thank you.
How can we keep you here, Jocelyn?
I guess a big part would be, like, me specifically, soccer clubs.
Okay.
I played for this club, KC Fusion, for about 8 years. And the reason why I had to go to KC Fusion was because that was the closest one at the time. And I know there's a few soccer clubs, like, around here, but they're not, like, as, I don't want to say as great, but they don't have as much available as the more clubs in, like, Johnson County and Olathe. And so I think having that opportunity, like more clubs and stuff like that, not just soccer, but other sports in general, would keep me here and other people my age.
Thank you.
I think going off of what Jocelyn said is also having like affordable clubs and that type of stuff to do, because like even fusion and like soccer clubs or really any sport that like you have to like go and pay for, it's not cheap. And for most people in Wyandotte County, we have economic struggles, and so like to have something that's like here that's like the community can kind of help like fund or make it cheaper so that we can do these things outside of school, because our school seasons for anything are super short. And so to go back to what we were talking about, like building with like the talents and stuff, we need those other activities, but we also need them to be cheaper to fit what we need here.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alex? No.
Just a really brief note on like sustainability and like longevity. And I know we're talking a lot about soccer, but I have one more important example to note. The only one that I can think of off the top of my head that was here in the inner city providing soccer for a lot of people was a club by the name of Soccer Nation. And I want to touch on longevity because Soccer Nation did, I know a lot of people that played for them, and they did a lot of great things for inner city youth, especially like Black and Hispanic youth were the majority makeup of their teams. But in the longevity aspect, Soccer Nation, it only lasted for like 4 or 5 years. And then because of COVID and everything, and lack of resources, they had to shut down. And there's no, and we're back to square one with no programs. So I want to touch on like kind of, once we get those programs and facilities and everything in place, we need longevity. We need sustainability to keep them running for years and years and years, and not just have the program run for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then we're back to square one again.
And you touched on barriers. What are the barriers that we're facing? Why can't we have soccer clubs and affordability programming gyms? Why don't we have these things? What are our barriers?
We talked at the beginning of not enough people, positive role models in the community willing to give up their time on a pretty much a daily basis to actually help build the next generation. Like basically, I mean, there's very few people in this community that are really dedicated to the kids, I feel like, and we just need more people to, keep the longevity going and everything. So that's how we break that barrier in that sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to talk about barriers?
Another barrier. There might be barriers about like economical price. like barriers that might be economical price might be like, if you're gonna sign up for strings, you're gonna have to pay a price because if you like, break something, you're not gonna be sure. And also COVID too, they're going to have to clean it down professionally with a ton of work after you're done with that. But I think for another thing, we should have more programs and things like that. And stuff like, never mind about that, but just, but also more accessibility, because you might have to go to this school to learn strings or basketball because your school doesn't have a gym to use, or any teacher, or you just need another teacher, but they won't come here because they only work for that one school. And also, for another thing, I think another amenity that we need is bigger schools. Because some schools, they only have like a gym, then all the other room is for like other classes. I feel like we should have big open areas for classrooms because you don't want to be sitting next to the next person, and you might not like that person. So you might get annoyed. So you might get annoyed by them. So I think we just need more space in our buildings that we make.
Thank you. Can we turn this around? Go ahead.
Hey everyone, my name is John Robinson. I used to be part of the Student Senate here back in 2014 to 2016, and then I'm an alum of Sumner Academy.
Yeah.
Wyandotte County raised and everything, and I feel like that the opportunities that we have here in Wyandotte County is different than what we see in other counties and other places. Like for instance, like how he was saying the space, like of course we don't have access to some of the same rec centers and what they have, like an actual gym, like gyms, of course where we can go play basketball, but I'm talking about like an actual gym where people can go work out. We got to go outside our county just to find like an actual gym that got everything that we want just to keep our health in order. And so as far as the students are concerned, I feel like that we need to focus more on nourishing the dreams and interests of the students. So I feel like we need to create programs and bring things to our district that actually nourishes STEAM, like how we were talking about. For instance, like I'm the owner of Wine Colors Art and Sip, and so what my platform does is I give opportunities to local visual artists and performing artists to give them a platform to showcase their art. You have them go anywhere else most of the time, like how we saying, like we have to pay to get the opportunity to do that, but they have the opportunity on my platform to actually just do it, and then also do it in the comfort of their community around their peers. And so I feel like we need to create opportunities that nourishes those interests. Like how he was saying he's interested in marine biology. I'm going to school for pharmaceutical science. Like I want to learn how to make medicine. And so it's kind of one of those things that we're like, we need to create those spaces where nourishing those interests, because like I said, like only thing that we know around here is what, okay, you know how to write poetry. Oh, okay, you must be going to be a rapper. Or you like sports, okay, you can play football, baseball, like, okay, there's more than just that. We can also teach them about entrepreneurship. We got all these entrepreneurs around here. I think, honestly, that we should have a lot of the entrepreneurs start to come into these spaces and actually teach them a lot of the skills, like when it comes to moving into the real world, like after graduation. At Sumner Academy, when I was there, I don't know if they still have it, they have this class called Professional Life Skills, where like for I think it was one semester or a full year, we was able to actually learn how to budget. We was learning to, like, for instance, if we was to get married and have kids, how much would that actually cost? How much would it cost to buy a house? How much would taxes be? Anywhere else, I talked to anyone else like about that information, they don't know any of that. And so I feel like that's lacking. I feel like we need to give our students an opportunity to enter the workforce or enter the real world, whether or not they want to go to college or start a business. Give them the tools to help them be successful.
Thank you. 1 minute, Paul.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate that. You know, I never thought I
Mr.
was.
Rios, you got, let me know the next.
Nah, I'm not even looking at y'all. I'm gonna look at him the whole time I say this. You tell me when to go. All right, we were talking about barriers in this area. I think that one of the key barriers is the access to the funding. So I know that there is fund. In fact, I think that this whole meeting is a byproduct of funds being available that need to be distributed or allocated, right? But do we, even in this room, feel connected to the allocation of those funds when it happens? Like, do you feel like this conversation, you can see how this conversation translates to the outcome you're looking for? I know when I worked in government or with the unified government, a lot of the money that was distributed was done midday in a coalition meeting of which you may or may not be a part. So I think a barrier is people actually knowing how to access and like speak up and advocate for the funds they need or the amenities that they need, because it's being done somewhat still in a way that's it's not as public as it could be. People don't know how to go put their bid in for the things that they need, and thus the money gets distributed or allocated the way that it always has been for those that are in the know and around the table. So more seats at the table and more marketing around how to get a seat at that table is something I think that would be key.
Well, you put Mr. Rios in charge, they start getting their make sure their promises on.
Is that a good?
Yeah, thank you, thank you. We do on the next one, we gotta move. Mr. Rios is on my head. He said we gotta go.
Academic success leading to graduation. So maybe not just sports, right? But how do we improve that transition, the way that transition is taking place? Yeah, anybody. College readiness.
At Sumner Academy, things are a little rough right now. A lot of me and my friends are struggling. It's partially because of the college readiness aspect. I feel like it's very overbearing, and it's discouraging a lot of people. I feel like a sense of moderation whenever it comes to the workload, being able to moderate the amount of work you're giving one person without giving it a sense of overbearing nature. I feel like a lot more people would be more on board with the idea of college readiness if it wasn't so rigorous. It's pretty rough right now, but if it was a little bit toned down, just being able to give people like they have breathing room. A lot of people are feeling stuck and suffocated right now, and just making a more comfortable space. I feel like the idea of college readiness wouldn't scare as much people. So just like making it more comfortable.
All right, thank you. You mind if I chime in, because I got y'all here? Do you know, what if they told you that actually everything you're being put through is worth it?
Yeah, I've been told.
Okay, so let me just tell you. You're gonna see the difference between yourselves and the other people that you go to school with because of what you're doing now. So just bear it as much as possible, but know that it actually is done with the right intention and it actually does pan out. Anybody else? Yes.
I think to ready seniors for college, I think that they should be thinking about not how fun it is or like how it's going to be. They should think about mentally how it's going to be like staying in a dorm and staying away from your parents and depression. That they might just like want to call their family, but they don't have time to. But another thing is that they don't have breaks, so they might get stressed and they might just keep on having to work and work, go back to the dorm and sleep and wake up, work and work. But then they would need a break every here and then. So like brain breaks and practices to like think, and for mentality, I would just think better ways to improve your mind, and like chest breathing, counting up to 5 or something like that.
I'm gonna tell you all a secret. Tell you right now. You're cool. Being a full-time student, like a real full-time student, yeah, come on up. It only means you're gonna go to class maybe 3 times a week. Did you know that? Yeah, even if you got like 15 hours, 18 hours, you might only go to school a few times a week. So chill out, it's all good. You can do it. Thank you.
So I have a question. The question is more for you. something I believe in a lot is like the compatibility of risk and reward. You know, it's like high risk, high reward. It's just the you said the reward is high, but when do you say that the risk outweighs the reward? Because I know a lot of people that are struggling mentally. So you said it's worth it, but at what cost? Like, when would you say that it becomes like not worth it?
Very good question. I would say, and we're talking about like the hardship of it, like the workload of it, the pressure from the workload, the requirements, what's being asked of you. I think that the point in which you're going to find an imbalance is actually it's not going to come for a while. Like, you actually, as young people, just have a little more life to live before you can sit up from above, you know what I'm saying, and say, oh, actually looking at this, I can assess, no, this is that. Actually, I think right now, while you're young and durable and resilient, drive yourself to your limits. See if there is one. I'm sure you usually find that there isn't one. My coaches used to always tell me the mind quits before the body does. So, usually at a point you think you have nothing left, the right inspiration, motivation at the time, usually you see yourself drive through it. I'd say, man, just go hard. Just ball out until you're older. You'll know. Nothing they're having you do as a student, right, is going to break you. I'm sorry. It just won't. It might feel like the Fed sometimes, but you're good. Like, actually find a breaking point and then reverse engineer it. Does that help? I don't know. I hate to throw you out there. I don't want to disregard what you're saying. I think that it's a real thing to deal with academic pressure, but you don't know and pressure doesn't stop. So even after school, there'll be work. There'll be all these things. There'll be all these spaces. Just persevere, kind of. See what you're made of.
There is never a time, ever, when the risk is greater than the reward. Ever. Your education is the most important thing that you can do in your whole life. I promise you that. This gentleman a while ago talked about the time you have. The best time you'll have in your life is in your college years. What you're doing in high school right now, I know this is going to sound a little negative, but I compare it to prison. Because you have to go, and you have to be in school for a certain period of time in the morning until you get off in the afternoon. You don't get to do anything else. You have to be able to control your free time when you go to college, because you're going to have a lot of free time to grow as human beings. And that is so important. And you have to go through that, because if you just go to work right after, there's all kudos to people that work all their lives. Nobility is what they are, absolutely. But don't be afraid to go to college and do well. You know who straightened me out about elitism? Because I was talking to a lady about, I profess college constantly, college. And my own brethren, my Hispanic brethren, they say, you're an elitist. You preach college when I have a son that's down the street and he's working as a lineman. He's making $30 an hour. That's a wonderful thing. Nothing wrong with that. And I have a sister who owns a restaurant. Nothing wrong with that. It's a wonderful thing too. But it has to do with your quality of life. And the quality of life that you'll gain by going to college is tenfold compared to what you'll do if you just get out and just go to work. And again, I'm not trying to knock the workers of the world. My father was a truck driver, for 37 years. My mother cleaned office spaces for other people for a long time, and she didn't have to do that up until about 25 years ago when I graduated. Well, it's been 30 years. I take that back.
No worries.
Something like that. But you will never, ever, it is true, you will get your college education and no one can take the skill that you got and the knowledge that you gained from college, ever. You have to get your education, higher learning, you have to do that. There's been certainly great black men and great Hispanic men and great white men that have done great things in the world and they didn't go to college. But most of those men, they sent their children to college You know, so we have, what do we have, sports heroes? We have, who do we have at the Super Bowl
The wrong people, both of the teams, all
the
wrong.
Super, oh, no, the Super Bowl, no, the halftime.
Oh, Dr. Dre,
Yeah.
Death Row, yeah, Snoop Dogg.
You know, my
yeah.
favorite musician in the whole world is Carlos Santana. You probably know why. He has a PhD in education. You know? Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, some of the musical geniuses that you see and that you adore, their kids are going to college. They may not have, but their kids are going to college. You have to stay in school. It is the key to your life. It is the key to your economic future. School, education. You don't have to go to a big school. You can go to a little school. Start here. A while ago, who was I talking to? I was talking to the gentleman. I don't see him now. And he was talking about this is where it should start because you save so much money. I did it. I went to Longview Community College back when they were trailers. Clap for you. The accolades are for you that are here taking your time to learn from me because all I can do is impart my knowledge of what is important and it is your economic future. I got one thing to tell all of you young students though, and it's the most important thing besides staying in for college. Love can wait. Love can wait. You got plenty of time to fall in love after you've got your education. After you've got your education. Be selfish with yourself right now. It's your time. It's not time to be married and to have kids because then you can't be selfish anymore. You've got to focus on that. But right now, be selfish with yourselves. So that when you're done, you can come back here and you can say, I'm a senator. You don't want to be just a judge. You want to be a senator. You want to be a congressman. You want to be a brain surgeon. You want to be another president who's black, the first president that's Latina. That's what you want to do. So go out and do it. But stay in school. Get your college education. I'm done talking. I talk too much.
Okay, before we go, we had a couple more that wanted to speak. They were kind of on the side. I apologize. I didn't get them in. I missed them. I'm sorry.
So my name is Veronica. I just finished up at KCK in December, and I walk in May. What I would say that would get seniors that are interested in going to college ready, I would say don't feel like you have to have a major as soon as you start. I didn't really know what I wanted to do until I was basically done with college. I went here for about 3 years, and I just started taking random classes because everybody made me feel like, oh, you have to have a major. You have to know what you want to do. And I found myself being in classes I didn't like, just wasting time and money. And so basically I would just say don't feel like you have to have a major. Take your time. And yeah.
Because I want a final thought. I want to drop one more when I'm after that, you know, I'm just, yeah, thank you.
All right, hi everybody. My name is Tyree. I do attend KCKCC. Right now I'm working on my associates in science, liberal arts. Just to give a little background before I go into what I'm going to say. Before I came here, I wanted to pursue I wanted to become a pediatric neurosurgeon. That was the first out of the gate. But once I noticed the years, once I noticed the time, I kind of changed it and I decided to become a pharmacist and have my own practice someday. Anything that I would tell a high school student that wants to go to college, it is okay to go to a community college. Don't think that you have to go to a big, huge university to get a degree, because you can get a degree at a community college and come out of school spending way less money than someone who went to university. That's the number one thing I would tell a high school student. Also, on top of that, I would tell high school students to stay focused. It is so extremely important to stay focused because you're going to come in obstacles that's going to come in your way and that's going to stop you, but you have to stay focused. As long as you have your goal and as long as you have your vision, you keep going, and you don't stop, okay? And my third one would be, is to not to allow yourself to get off track, far as anything that's going to hinder you from getting to your goal and your plan out of college. So whether that's friends, whether that's, dating people, because you're going to meet different people in college and you're going to experience different things that you never experienced before. So I would just tell you guys just to stay focused and just keep going. So, yeah.
Mr. Rios, can you put ball on this timetable? You gonna bring it home?
I don't know about bringing it home necessarily, but I do know that time is key. Wait a minute, you ain't got your time, man, put his clock away. So let me get ahead and get a jump on it. I felt like earlier, I just want to be sure I wasn't dismissive to the plight of what you're dealing with as students. It's very real. I know a lot of older people just try to tell you, oh, you're young, it doesn't matter, it's not real. I'm saying I know that it's real, but you are still as tough as you're ever gonna be. Like, test your limits, push them. Like, if they tell you got to write 5 hours worth of, man, write 6, I don't know, or at least do 5, right? But it's a long way out before you guys reach a limit. You will not see a boundary until something like age kicks in and assists you with that. But right now, while you're young and you got the energy, like, see what you're capable of. Yes.
And like being a Sumner grad, right?
Uh-huh.
How did you do all the coursework? Because you talk about reaching boundaries and limits and whatnot, and we haven't reached it yet as high school students.
Yeah.
How did you graduate and do all the hard, like, rigorous coursework?
Well, me personally, I think it was probably a lot like you have. It was a culture. So, after what, sophomore year? About sophomore year, there's nobody here hanging out playing school anymore. You know, like, it's actually not the thing to do to be the one that didn't do the thing, right? Because we all had to do it. And it's also competitive. So I knew I was never going to be valedictorian. I knew that at sophomore year, right? But I knew I could be the captain of the football team, basketball team, track team. I could be an academic All-American. I could still find my lane, but it was all rooted in performance and achievement. So continue to keep that circle. Even in college, I realized I can only hang with people who are trying to get where I'm going or have already been there. So yeah, draw on each other. Draw on each other. And I'm sure you'll see that. It'll be quite some time before you see something new or challenged in a way that you have not ever been asked to perform. And just be encouraged. I'm not lying to you, trust me, all the way through. I stopped because I stopped right mid-sentence because I was counting in my head. All right, awesome. Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you. So, we appreciate everyone coming out to our Community Voice Social Round 2. Thank you very much to our Sumner Academy students for participating. We really appreciate hearing your voice. I don't want you to think that this is going to go unheard. Mr. Rios and I, we guarantee you that we will put this together and we will make sure that we start getting into a planning position where we can try to plan for us as a community to start building on the things that you want to see. Okay? So thank you very much, Mr. Rios. Thank you for coming out. I'd like to say thank you to Roger. We appreciate F.B.O.E allowing us to come into your space and into your time and put on this. Yes,
where can we buy Truth Apparel?
He's gonna let us know. He's gonna tell us where we can buy the Truth Apparel at. TruthToReason.com.
Students, we close out. Hey, this is great. Listen, we got to keep the momentum going. For this must not stop. Knowing what happens is we're good at meeting, feeling good, like my old pastor used to say, feel good on Sunday and back to the devil on Monday. So we must follow through to show them, the students, it's about retention. I always tell with my program, I say pay attention to retention. Those people that come and shake your hands, hold them accountable. I promise you. Somebody say, hey man, give me a call. Here's my card. Call me. Don't let them get away with that. Call them. Connect with them. Make them prove what they say. I always tell my students, make me prove what I say. When she was talking about the BET thing, I had locked up a BET for 3 students to be intern in BET. I said, y'all come here on Thursday, fill out the paperwork. They taking 3 from this school to BT intern. It's 2015 when they just started doing all the movie stuff and like that. Not one student showed up. Not one showed up. Know where they went to? Johnson County Community College. They found 2 students over there. You gotta be able to be ready for the moment, hold people down, because if not, you know what those grown folks will do? We're getting our own little groups, and we're meeting and talk about, yeah, man, get this so-and-so. It's supposed to be about y'all, but we talk about passing flyers and stuff, and y'all get to sit here. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's giving you a card, giving you something to talk to so that you can do this. That's why I do what I do. And it's not fun, but it ain't for me. It's for making sure that y'all students get what y'all need. Us grown folks can meet any day of the week. We see each other, we know how to get in touch with each other. The focus should be on y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in here. People should be coming to y'all when y'all done, talking about what can they do to help you. So y'all all smart and intelligent. Make sure you hold these grown folks accountable. Because people will talk to you about anything in the world until it's time to follow through. Like my grandma say, people do what they want to do. Do not be fooled by it. They'll tell you the good thing. You see all these people come, yeah, we should do this, and so and so. In your time of need, you don't see them. So truth to reason that's also. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all welcome back anytime.
Can we get a picture together and take a picture?